Hi, my name's Joel. I'm going to speak just personally for 1 second. All four of my grandparents were immigrants to this country, and my grandparents, who I love dearly, spoke English with heavily accented English. And they were wonderful, loving, creative, courageous people. And when I see those videos of people being targeted for no other reason than they speak English with a Latino accent or a Somali accent, I think of my grandparents. And the main reason I share this story is that I think we all need to feel what we're feeling, because a lot of you know that I'm a historian, and that's what I do for a living. And I wanted to share some thoughts on that perspective, but I couldn't do it without first sharing what's in my heart right now. And I've been a member of this community for 31 years. And over the last couple months, I've had some conversations with people who will say things like, how can this be happening in the United States of America? How could this be happening in the United States of America? And I don't think we should be surprised, and I say that for a couple reasons. One has been spoken about a lot, which is this country has a very violent history. It has a very violent history. And many terrible things have happened in the history of this country, including slavery, including one of the worst genocides of modern history, including some of the most exploitative labor conditions that anyone in the world experienced during the period of industrialization. And that's the history of our country. But I want to say one other thing too, which is, if you feel like this moment is different, like this is something that we haven't experienced, I want to tell you that you're right. And I want us all to own that. I want us to own that feeling that this isn't just the same old shit. Because what we're going through now is something that hasn't been experienced in this country in recent times, or in the lifetime, I would bet, of anyone in this room. And we need to own that. We need to own that. I remember back when George W. Bush was president, and we had so many people out on the streets in this community resisting the Iraq War. And I see some faces of some people who were out on the streets when we were doing that. And people would come up to me and say, or they wouldn't come up to me, they'd give speeches at rallies, and they'd say, George W. Bush is a fascist. And I'd put on my historian hat and I'd say, he may be a more warmongering piece of shit, but he's not a fascist. When fascism comes to America, you'll know the difference. And I think sadly and tragically, I think we all now are learning that lesson, because we know the difference. And I'm just gonna highlight one thing that is different and why this moment is so dangerous. One of the hallmarks of fascism is the creation of a private paramilitary that is loyal to the leader and operates outside all bounds of law. And for all the struggles and all the exploitation and all the challenges and all the inequalities that we've all seen in our lifetime in this country, this is something new. Maybe the last time might have been if you were alive during the Civil Rights era and the role that the Klan played in the South. But most of us have never experienced something like this. But again, we shouldn't be surprised. Shouldn't be surprised. Because things like this can happen anywhere. If you were raised, and I know younger people, most of you weren't raised this way, or you figured it out pretty fast, but a lot of us who were older, were like raised to assume or believe that things like that don't happen here. I'm going to share something else about myself. I'm Jewish, and my mother's early childhood memories, she was born in 1935, were her parents worrying about the family in Poland who they hadn't heard from and never heard from again. So I'm going to say, if you grow up Jewish, you know it can happen anywhere. Here's something that they don't stress enough. Germany was one of the countries in Europe where Jewish people were the most assimilated and the most accepted. And it happened there. It can happen anywhere. No place is immune to this, so it should not surprise us. So I want to, number one, ask all of us to like own the moment and recognize that we have the fate of living through one of the most dangerous moments in the modern history of this country. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that to prepare us. To prepare us. I don't have all the answers for what we should be doing. But I know it's going to take courage, and I know it's going to take solidarity. Because, other people said this, that the most powerful antidote to fascism is solidarity. Solidarity and courage are what are called for now. Solidarity and courage. And again, I don't know exactly what that looks like in practice, but I guess what I'm urging all of us is to really reflect on what solidarity means. An injury to one is an injury to all. An injury to one is an injury to all. An injury to one is an injury to all. We need to not only say that, we need to feel it, we need to believe it, we need to live it. And when it comes to courage, we're all called to do different things. And so there can be no guilt tripping or anything like that. We all need to ask ourselves, what can we do? For some people, it's literally putting your life on the line to film murderous thugs. For others, it's hiding someone in your home. And for others, it maybe is delivering groceries to somebody who can't take the risk to go to the grocery store or go to work. But I guess what I would ask each of us to do, and again, there's no right answer. We should all be reflecting on right now, what can we do? And I'll say the other side, what can we do, what can't we do? What can we do, what can't we do? Because when the moment comes, when we need to act, we're going to be better prepared if we ask ourselves those questions now. So I would say do that mental, emotional, physical inventory and take some time and reflect what's each of our role. And that solidarity and courage is how we're going to win this thing.